Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome back to Red, White, and True News, where life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is alive and well. Hope everyone's doing good this fine Friday, end of the week. Hope everyone's got big plans for the weekend. Um, I think Valentine's Day, isn't that coming up? What's today? 13th? Yeah. So I hope you guys have plans for that. I did a video earlier on medical marijuana just because there's a lot of talk about it and um things of like legislation and certain states starting to or have been trying to get it on the ballot to recreationalize it. So I was gonna touch on some more of that, but there's some other important things to discuss. So um I will probably not discuss that right now. Hang on just a second here. You do this, this. So yeah, if everyone could just please let us know where you're from, what state you're tuning in from, or whatever. We'd greatly appreciate that. Uh, the the This Nancy Guthrie case has really gotten bizarre, don't you think? I mean, they got this one sheriff, Nanos, I think is his name, out there in Pima County that's been heading up the investigation. This guy, like I've said in videos before, he just does not strike me as as a leader. I mean, he just, I mean, he's just very unprofessional, um, not very forthcoming, which I get. Part of that is because it can't. But on the flip side, I mean, it's been like a week since this guy has even come out and done a press conference. But now we find out that um, he's sending stuff off to a lab in Florida and not even using the Quantico lab. Folks, the FBI has like a 12 billion with a B, $12 billion budget. It's the best lab in the world in Quantico. The best. Why this man would not be sending this stuff now all of a sudden to Quantico? There was a little bit of riff with him and the FBI from the get-go. Now he is a Democrat, he's an elected official, he's a Democrat. And knowing that this is a Republican-led FBI, maybe, but you know what? Right, wrong, or indifferent. There's a woman out there that's missing in a family that doesn't have their mother and their maybe a sister. I mean, she's older, so I don't know if she has any siblings left. Grandmother. I mean, come on, really? Can't put your differences aside, and maybe part of that's the FBI. I don't know, but whoever it is, man, they've got to lay that stuff down and leave it alone. The task at hand here is finding this lady safe, and getting this person that went into her home. So the latest is the FBI has described this guy as it's a male, obviously, 5'9" to 5'10", with an average build, wearing a black 25-liter Ozark Trail hiking backpack, which we know Ozark comes from Walmart. Um, the FBI increased its reward to 100,000. Um, they found a glove or two gloves or something like that. Which I heard this sheriff, he did a phone interview with somebody. I don't know who it was. basically said they'd never found a glove in her house. The FBI is saying that there was a glove found in her house. So it's not the first time the sheriff has walked back stuff that's come out of his mouth. I don't know yeah, I don't know. I've not been too fond of this guy from the get go. But anyway, Trump was asked whether the cartel is possibly involved. I mean, by the eyes of this person, mustache, skin color, he looks of Latin descent to me. Could be wrong. President Trump was asked Friday whether cartels or possibly another nation state could be involved in her disappearance. To his response of "You can't say that yet," um, it's a little bit too early, but it's somebody either knew what they were doing very well or they were rank amateurs. Either way, it's not a good situation. Um, there's really, I mean, besides the fact that they've released these photos and videos of this person, there's really not too much more new that's come out on this, y'all. I mean, I wish I could tell you that there was, but the wall to wall coverage this is getting. I mean, every time I turn the television on, that's all you hear. You can even go to the daggum Weather Channel, and they've got it on there. Hang on a second. Shut those blinds. It's too bright in here. But yeah, wall to wall coverage. I mean, I understand that, they're trying to find this lady. I totally get it. But could you imagine if every case out here of a missing child or a missing woman, man, whatever, got this kind of coverage and resources allotted to it? We wouldn't have the list of missing and exploited children that we have currently right now, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, this is why? Because she's the mother of a well-known journalist, town hall host, debate host, what a talk show, whatever you want to call Savannah Guthrie. Why? Because it's her mother. That shouldn't matter. That should not matter. I mean, let the people do the work, but for these news outlets to cover this stuff hour after hour after hour, we're going on what, day 13 here? Day 12? Look, I hope and pray that they find this lady safe. I really do. But there is so much more out here that these news people can be talking about right now besides this case from morning to night and late into the night. Don't you think? So, yeah, this is I mean, they even got people looking in the pool. What? Day 13, you just not gonna look into the pool? So anyway, moving on here. Um the Are you guys familiar with these weight loss drugs that people are taking out here? Ozempic and what's the other one? Wagavy or something like that? Wegovy. There you go. Popular weight loss drugs linked to rare pirate disease, researchers warn. Researchers in Australia are raising flags about GLP-1 weight loss medications potentially raising the risk of a rare disease. Scurvy, historically called a pirate disease due to long voyages at sea without nutritious food, is caused by a lack of vitamin C. If left untreated, scurvy can cause severe symptoms, according to Cleveland Clinic. Those symptoms include anemia, loosened teeth, that may fall out bleeding under the skin, bruising, swollen legs, rough and scaly skin, dry and brittle hair that coils in the reopening of wounds do not heal. Swollen bleeding gums are another common result. The disease could surface as the result of not properly providing the body with nutrient rich foods, leading to malnourishment. A systematic view by the Hunter Medical Research Institute in Australia found that although diabetes and obesity medications support significant improvements in weight loss, clinical trials have failed to report what people are actually eating while taking them. The days of actually going on a daggum diet and bicycle or a stationary bike or actually getting out of the house and going walking in the mornings and in the evenings or going to the gym. You know, these uh these drug companies have come up with the dream away plan. Just stick this in your skin. It just takes away the urge to eat. And that pounds will shed right off. I've seen people that were heavy or skinny now. I'm sorry, but they can't be healthy. I'm funny about anything that you stick me with. I don't know. I mean, look, I hope this stuff's great for people. I love to see people, you know, doing well, but I mean, there's got to be long-term effects from this stuff, don't you think? I don't know. Scurvy. Man, it's been a long time since I heard that word. British pop singer Robbie Williams was diagnosed with scurvy in 2025, previously sharing the Mirror that he experienced symptoms of the 17th century pirate disease after he'd been taking something like Ozempic, of which now I guess this stuff's in the pill form. And you, now that Trump has signed all these agreements with these drug companies and things, I guess this shot was like a $1,200 or something like that, and now it's like 150 or some crazy number. So I don't know if any of you guys are out there taking this stuff, but you may want to research it before you start sticking yourself with it because they're, like anything really. I mean, there's side effects to all these drugs out here, folks. I knew a 100-year-old colonel back years ago. Well, yeah, he may still be alive. I haven't seen him for a couple years now. This man served under 6 presidents, was in the army for 41 years, I believe. World War II, Korean War. Um, he was in Bosnia. Let me see. Persian Gulf, and I want to say he got out in the Persian Gulf. Well, anyway, I was cutting a tree down for this guy, and I had my son in the truck. I had tied the rope off to my reese hitch, and I told my son, when I say go, don't gun it, just hit the gas a little bit and go that way. The tree's going to fall this way. I just want to make sure it doesn't fall back on the neighbor's fence. Well, I look down when I'm standing up on the wall. There's like the tree was right here in the corner of his property. There was a big seawall that went all the way around his house, and I'm standing up on the wall with a pole saw to notch the tree, and I was going to take my chainsaw and do the fell cut. I look down in the road, and the old man's standing out there holding on to the rope, and I holler at him. I said, "Mr. Ed, you can't hold on to that rope because when I tell my son to go, the truck's going to go, and I don't care if you're Lou Ferrigno, you're not going to direct that tree. The rope's going to straighten out, and you're going to go with it." Okay, young man. So I start cutting again. I walk down there, get back up on the wall, and I start cutting again. I look down there, and there he is standing in the road again, holding on to that rope. And I said, "Mr. Ed, you've got to get out of the road. You're going to hurt yourself." Long story short, I had to do that 3 times. You're talking about a man, oh, Vietnam. He was in Vietnam twice, too. That's what it was. You're talking to a man that took his men into Vietnam. He was a full bird colonel. Now, had I told him to go grab the rope, he wouldn't have probably grabbed the rope. And so anyway, I get back up on the wall. I start cutting, and I didn't see him down there. So I said, "Go!" And I turn and I look, and the old man's laying in the road. I went, "Oh my!" And I just immediately dropped the saw. And I said, "You all right? You all right?" I get down there. He's laying in the road in Florida in the middle of August. The road is hot. And he's laying there, and I see his eye. He had a glass eye because he had retinal cancer back when he was in the army. And thankfully, it was that eye that was swelled up real big because he couldn't see out of it anyway. And I said, "Sir, are you okay? Was that tree didn't crash on my crepe myrtles, did it?" And all I'm thinking is this man hit his head in the road. Well, the neighbors run out of the house. The wife and the husband come to find out they're both doctors. One was an ER doctor, the other one was like a rheumatologist or something like that. So they're trying to keep him from moving and everything. Anyway, long story short, the EMS wagon gets there, fire trucks get there, and they tell his wife, Meredith, go in the house, get all his medications. They're gonna have to fly him to Orlando because of his age. They gotta do surgery, blah, 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 blah. Then go get all his medications. She goes, he don't take no medications, but blood thinners. They look at her, they go, what? This guy's fixing to be 101 years old and he don't take no, nope, don't take none. But you know that old man was out of the hospital in like 2 or 3 days, back in his car driving back up to Virginia, a lifelong Democrat. Lifelong Democrat till Donald Trump ran. He said, "Young man, it's the best thing that ever happened to this country." I said, "Mr. Ed, you better get your guns ready because the next revolution's coming." He goes, "I don't have no more guns. I gave them all to my kids. I only got one left." I said, "Really? Which one's that?" He goes, "A dead German gave it to me." This man, y'all, had he had furniture in his front room of his house from his great grandmother pre-Civil War days. Pre-Civil War days that someone had offered him millions, and there wasn't a flaw in this. You go in his closet, and all his clothes were wrapped up in plastic, hanging. All of his pants were pleated. All of his shoes were, I mean, just a squared. I mean, I could sit and listen. He still day traded stocks, and I mean, I mean, salt of the earth guy. Solid, your old school Democrats, what he was. Great, great, great guy. Loved him to death. Loved him to death. But he didn't take no medication. None. Um, the there was a Sullivan sounds the alarm on joint Russia-China moves in U.S. Arctic zone. Alaska senator led hearing that funded Coast Guard expansion, new home deepwater port, and reopening at Adak military base near Russia. This is joint Russian and Chinese military aircraft and vessels have entered the U.S. Arctic Air Defense Identification Zone near Alaska dozens of times in recent months. Dan Sullivan said in an interview with Fox News Digital, warning the activity amounts to coordinated pressure on America's northern defenses. Sullivan, Republican from Alaska, said data compiled by his office shows mostly airborne incursions and at times joint patrols a buffer zone where aircraft must identify themselves but are not automatically denied access. They were spying on us, Sullivan said, arguing the missions amount to strategic surveillance and have accelerated efforts to reopen the Navy base at Adak and expand Arctic infrastructure. Folks, I can't even believe Trump's letting that happen. Alaska's always really been a target for Russian planes to fly into. The U.S. currently operates two icebreakers, one of which is out of service compared with Russia's 54 icebreakers. Sullivan led a Senate Commerce Subcommittee hearing last month that secured 25 billion in new Coast Guard funding, including 4.5 billion for infrastructure upgrades such as a deepwater port in Nome, one of the closest U.S. cities to Russia, and additional Arctic icebreakers. Jeez, that's astonishing, man. Letting these bums fly into our airspace. You remember when Biden was in office? We had daggone spy balloons flying clear across the country, and they shot it out over the Atlantic Ocean. Shot them down. Isn't that nuts? That's just crazy. Hmm. Yeah, I want to do this medical marijuana stuff real quick. The medical marijuana market in the U.S. has seen significant growth with 38 states and several territories legalizing it. The market is projected to reach 30 billion by 2032. With a compound annual growth rate of 26.2%, the legal marijuana industry generated $36 billion in sales in 2022. Wow. Is that crazy or what? It's nuts. Legal marijuana industry representing a 6.5 fold increasing in 6 years. The market is expected to further expand with estimates of 16 billion in 2024, 17.7 billion in 2025, and 19.4 billion in 2026. By 2027, the market is expected to attain a value of 20.8 billion. Billion, folks. Always said, man, once this government can find out a way to regulate it and pad their pockets, sure enough, it'd be legal. You better bet it would be, because then they found out a way to make money. In 2025, the president signed an executive order to reschedule cannabis. 47% of Americans have tried cannabis. 79% of Americans live in a county with at least one dispensary. Um, More than 1 in 3 women over 21 consume it. 25% of all cannabis sales now happen online. 15% of Americans identified as current users. Wow. Isn't that crazy? I don't know. They're going to have to rein this in because can you imagine what society is going to be like in 5 to 10 years from now? Everybody out here smoking dope because it kills your brain cells. That ain't me speaking. That's a fact. People can argue that all they want. All you got to do is do your own little research there and you'll find it too. Yeah. So, anyway, so I was gonna stay on for a while, but I am not going to be able to do that today. Um, so anyway, hopefully I can't do one tomorrow. I have to do another live stream next week. I can't do it over the weekend. So anyway, appreciate everyone stopping by, and until next time, take care of yourself and each other. Bye for now. God bless you all. Have a great weekend. Please do like, share, and subscribe. We certainly, certainly appreciate it. Thanks so much.